All right. Well, it's 7 o'clock, so I'm going to go ahead and get us officially started. For those of you who have joined us, thank you for joining us tonight. My name is Karen Anderson, and I'm going to be the moderator for this evening so that the folks who are presenting can focus on presenting. We do have everyone on mute. We would like it if you stay on mute. We love your dogs, but we don't want to hear them barking tonight. And if you do have a question, please add it to the chat. If for some reason you can't get the chat to work, please raise your hand. And when we get to a point where we can intervene and ask questions, we will do that. Or we will save them for the end. Our agenda tonight is first, we're going to do a quick mandatory review of our band budget. We are required to present this each year. And then Mr. Phillip is going to go ahead and discuss the upcoming trip. That is why everyone's here. And then finally, anyone who wants to stick around, we would love if you do. If you're part of a marching band family, we'd like you to stay. And we're going to talk a little bit about the upcoming schedule and volunteering. And now I'm going to turn my camera off and I'll be monitoring the chat. Mr. Phillip, and those of you who are speaking, you can take it away.
All right. Thank you so much, Karen, for setting this up. First of all, I just want to talk about the band boosters and just for a brief second. So we have a nonprofit organization. It's a 503c called the Lightridge High School Band Boosters. And this allows us to do a lot of really cool things in terms of private lessons and paying private lesson teachers and fundraising. So we're going to go over the budget part of the bylaws. We have to present this to band parents, and because your students aren't band, you are eligible or automatically part of the band booster organization. You have a say in kind of what we do. We support the boosters support the marching band, the concert bands, the indoor guard, the indoor drumline, jazz bands, everything that it follows under the umbrella that I, Mr. Carr, and Ms. O'Brien kind of oversee. One of the things I want to talk about real quick before we get started is a program called Benevity, and also just donation matching. So if your workplace has that, we've gotten some really good donations by people volunteering with the band, with the nonprofit building props or just helping out. And some of them have a cash or a match for if you donate money. So if those are big things to kind of help us, like help students who may need a little extra help, or to actually lower band fees, keep them low. So that's just a little bit about why we have the band booster organization. Kathy, were you going to talk about the budget or before we vote on it?
Oh, there we go. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah, no, the budget's in front of everybody on the screen there. You can see that if you have a student in band, you're automatically a member of the band boosters. We do not charge any kind of membership dues. All of our income is from fundraising and donations. And we do it kind of right now, 4 ways. Our main fundraiser, of course, is Tag Day. We have a budget here. We were hoping to bring in 20,000. We only brought in 17. So we're hoping that folks will still continue to reach out to friends, neighbors, family, and keep the donations rolling in so that we can get to that 20,000 mark. That would really help us out. The other thing we do are the Spirit Nights. Please stay connected with us via our Facebook page. Although the directors often do a good job publicizing the Spirit Nights as well. But we would ask that you continue to promote those to also friends, neighbors, family, so that those are really lucrative for us. We had a great one last month at Foster's. We're going to do Foster's again in November. And we're going to have a few more in there as well over the course of the year. And then the last thing is the Harris Teeter Together in Education. I'm excited because I just checked it today, and last year we had 51 VIC cards linked to the band boosters. We're already up to 132. this year. So I'm hoping that we really do great with the Harris Teeter fundraiser. So again, if you have not yet linked your VIC card, please do so. The number that you would link to is 7002. We'll continue to publicize that. It's in all of Mr. Phillips' emails. So I'm excited about that one. I'm hoping that we do really well with that this year. I think that's mainly it. If anybody has any specific questions, Mr. Phillip already touched on some of the things that we do to support the band programs. It's more than just marching band, it's concert band, winter guard. We support all the band programs in the school with helping with transportation. We often provide meals. We do the senior recognition there. You'll see the senior banners coming out soon at the football games. We provide them with recognition at the end of the school year as well. We coordinate the annual band banquet. So there's a lot that the band boosters do to support the band program and support the directors. So if anybody has any questions, please chime in. If not, I'd love to get a motion to approve our budget for this year.
I'll make the motion.
Great, thank you, Steve. Can I get a second?
I second it.
Was that Karen?
Yep.
Okay, great. And then we'll just, I guess, take a vote if there's anybody opposed. If you could just make it known, otherwise we'll assume everybody's a yay. That's really all I have. Thank you very much for joining us tonight.
Awesome. I'm going to attempt to switch over to the trip information so we can get straight to that.
Hey, just so that, I'm sorry to interrupt. This is Karen again. I'm not convinced that the chat is working. Could somebody just, yeah, I'm going to say this and then 57 people will do it. If someone could just write a hello in there. Yep, it's working. Never mind. Just make sure. Great. Thank you.
All right. Can you see the trip information or the screen? Did I share the right thing? Okay. All right. So I want to talk about our trip that we're planning to go to Orlando in January, just about what we're going to do, a little bit about the itinerary and the dates and why we picked those dates, etc. So first, we're taking the concert bands and the color guard to Universal Studios, and we are going to do the meat of what we're going to do is a clinic where the students, the band students, will get to play the music with a movie. So I'm hoping to get enough students to do two clinics, one for the older students and then one for the younger students, so that we can do two different grade levels of music. The upper level students, we looked at, there's a couple different movies that we could choose from, but doing music from the new Trolls movie, and that's an advanced level. And then doing the music from the new, or one of the Minions movies, and that is intermediate to advanced. So that's kind of what our goal is. So we would learn the music before we go, and then do a clinic where we see like how they record the music and be in a professional recording studio, do the click track with headphones and just all the technology. And it shows the students a couple of different things. One, there's a lot of jobs in the music industry that they might be interested in. And a lot of sound engineering and other creative things that even the students, if they're going to be entrepreneurs or whatever, they can really use that information. It's also just really cool, and when they get to see a movie, then after that, they know how that process, what the musicians did in order to do that. And then the color guard, we just got accepted into a dance clinic. So they will do a clinic where they kind of build on their fundamentals of dancing. And these are people who are in the shows for Universal Studios that lead these, some of their musical directors and things like that. So that's the musical, the kind of the learning piece of what we're doing. And then of course we're going to go to the parks. So that'll be fun. Um, what I really enjoy about this, and I think Jeree might talk about this a little bit later, is how the students learn and also just grow up on these trips. They really, um, what I see is they come together as a program. They meet students that are also in other bands, and then they also just learn a lot about themselves. They have a little bit of time where they get to be young adults, and they really show a lot of maturity when they do these things. So the itinerary, we picked this time frame for a couple different reasons. We have a lot of students and a lot of AP tests, and so we wanted to minimize or not have them miss school. This time frame, leaving on Sunday and we come back on Wednesday, the students won't miss any school because it's 2 teacher work days and 1 holiday. So it is, I think it's the Lunar New Year. So, so the students won't miss any school for this, so they don't have to worry about being behind on grades or anything like that. Sometimes that's unavoidable, but it's also at a good time too because it's not right at the end of like they won't have to miss any tests or anything like that. It's also during color guard season, indoor guard season. So that's why one of the reasons we're leaving on Sunday as well. So the guard can still compete on Saturday, the 25th, and then we fly out on Sunday, the 26th. A couple of other recent thought about this. This is one of the least expensive times for Universal Studios, but one of the best times in terms of weather. It's usually still pretty warm down there, and it's not an expensive time for flights. So we'll talk about that as we go through. Last time, if you were a junior or a senior parent, and last time we took buses to Orlando, um, and the feedback we got was like a lot of the kids liked it. Some were, if we fly down, then we get more time in the parks, and it's really not too much more expensive to fly if we can do it earlier. But the thing is that we don't have as much leeway on adding people later because there's not like any empty seats on the bus. We can add people. Makes it difficult for that. So in terms of that, people have to commit earlier, and we have to pay for the flight or the trip. People have to pay for the flight almost immediately. So we'll fly down on the 26th. And depending on how many students sign up, we might be on 2 or 3 different flights. I looked at chartering a flight, but we had to pay for it both ways, and it was, no matter how we cut it, it was going to be like $700 more per student. So some students might be going out of Dulles, but majority will be going out of Reagan. And well, that just depends on like the final flights, but that's what it looks like currently. So then we'll get to Orlando, and we will take charter buses from there to our hotel, which is at the Cabana Bay Resort, and we'll check in. It's got a really nice pool and lazy river. It's a really nice resort. We've stayed there with Champ one time. And all that's heated. So even though it's January, all the water is heated. And if the weather is nice, then that's something that we can take advantage of. Then we'll go to the City Walk, and we're going to have dinner at Jimmy Buffett's Margaritaville, which is a pretty cool restaurant, and that's all included. And then on the next day, breakfast is included through a voucher at the hotel, so we get to eat the breakfast there. Then we're going to go to Universal Studios, and it has the park hopper pass. So if you've ever been there, you can take this really cool basically train ride between the Hogwarts. Um, so that's a really, really cool feature. And then um, at the parks, there's $150 um, they'll get $150 card, and that was for all of their meals while they're in the parks on those days. And then same thing on Tuesday. We'll have the breakfast voucher at the hotel, and then we will be in the other park most likely. On these days, one of these days will be the clinic, either on that Monday or Tuesday. So they will, we applied. We won't know exactly which time that is until a bit later. So this is just a sample itinerary. But there's the sound design workshop that I talked about. Um, and then on the fourth day, there's still the breakfast voucher. And weather depending, we might go to the Volcano Bay Water Park. It is heated, but if it's too cool or we can make a last minute decision to go back into Universal Studios and Island of Adventure, and then we'll fly out on that Wednesday evening. So that's the basics of the itinerary. Uh,
We have a couple questions, Mr. Phillip.
okay.
One first question is a music question. What do the drummers need to bring? Is this a concert based or a marching based event?
So this is concert band based. So the sound stage will have a full set of percussion there. But Steve Carroll is right now we're planning um, to drive down in the school vehicle with the trailer, so we can take the other instruments, like larger instruments that wouldn't fit in a suitcase. So any extra percussions, I think that they have everything that they need there, but like mallets and stuff, we would need to bring. Cool.
Okay,
Um,
you can go on and we'll address some of the other questions. I think you're going to answer them as you talk.
okay. Sounds good. So one of the things when you register, there's an option to get trip insurance. And I highly recommend the trip insurance. And one is for illness, and the other is for, I think, any reason. You have to read the clauses, but none of the money for the trip comes through the school. So it all goes to the to the travel agency. So if you were to decide to not go at the last second, I have no way to get your money back. So um, um, we so that's just one thing that we don't have a way to do. So the trip insurance is not too expensive, but if you were to get sick or just then you'd want that to be able to to get a doctor's note and get your money back. Um, and then I think with the one where you can cancel for any reason, you have to read it, but I believe that it will repay up to 80% if you just want to cancel the trip. But there's a date on that, so make sure you read all that information. Again, that is all offered through the travel agency and not something um, that I have all the information on. When you sign up, you can look through that. It's the same similar thing if you were to book your own flight or whatever they offer those insurance aspects, but that's good. Um, cool. When when they register, again, he's going to start booking flights on 9/15 to try to get the best price. It might be possible to add students after that point, but um, flight prices will increase after we book all of those slots on those flights. So it's better to get in the in the first round. So that way because we can't control those flights, but after we book all those flights, the prices tend to go up. There is an option to sign up as a chaperone through the website. So if you have questions about that, you can reach out. But chaperoning is not it's not a vacation. It's a good time. But it is hard work in terms of like not too hard. Our kids are great, but like you have to be willing to, help the students. You might not get as much sleep as you normally do. But our kids are really, really good. Um, and so that is really, really helpful. All right. All right. Is there any other questions that I should answer now?
Yeah, there's a whole bunch of questions here, so I'm going to try to
Okay.
consolidate them together. I think you answered just now about chaperones.
Mhm.
One of the questions is are there companion ticket options like there were with the Disney trip?
Right now we haven't offered that. I can ask about that if people are interested in that. Um,
Another question is a clarification on the instruments. Says, do kids need to bring their instruments in the check-in luggage?
so it might be for flutes and clarinets, but last time we were able to take everything on the trailer. So that's our goal. So I can't answer that fully, but anything that is larger than that, we plan to take it on the trailer.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
There's a question about siblings and whether or not they would be on the same flight. So I'm guessing that we have some students that have brothers and sisters that are in the band.
Yeah, I mean, I think that I will ask for that to happen. I don't see why that couldn't happen, or
Okay.
why they split those up. But yeah, I think that I will, like if two brothers or a sister and a brother or whatever, where this both sign up, I'll talk to the travel agent to make sure that they go out of the same place. And then depending on what time the flights are and things like that, once we finalize that, we will talk about transportation. We might have parents just drop us off. There is a possibility that we might be able to get a bus, but LCPS is being um, difficult with in terms of like they like charging for buses, which is new, and they've never. This is my 20th year, and they've never done that, but I don't know why they're doing that. But so I will look into those possibilities as once we have a finalized exact departure time.
Okay. One person asked, is the meal debit card only good during the trip?
I think that it's good at Universal Studios, but I don't think it's limited to this time frame. I think it's just it is a debit card that you can use at Universal. If you didn't use it all, you could keep using it because, but I'll try to find out a direct answer to that because Champ went last year and their librarian, who also happens to teach our guard, her parents live down there, and a bunch of the kids gave her their cards when they were done. They each had like $2 left because her parents live there and she goes there all the time. So I think that they're good. Um, but I will definitely find out an answer to that.
We have another question about if parents chaperone, will they be on the same plane as their child? I'm assuming that's something you would try to work out.
Yeah, we try to work that out. We do need to like even that out, like have if we're on two different flights, have adults and kids on each flight, obviously a director on each flight. So yeah, but that's something we would try to keep everyone together who needed to be together like that.
Okay. There's also a question about identification for children who are flying. And we have a TSA employee here on our chat who has answered the question. But the question was, do kids need to get a state ID from DMV or passport for flight travel? And the TSA employee, thank you very much, said under 18 does not need ID to get through TSA. So
Correct.
that's good news.
Yeah, because we're staying in the US, they don't have to if they don't have one. I mean, it's probably a good idea to travel with one, but at least bring their school ID,
Sure,
if they don't have
sure.
anything else.
And then there's a question about timing. If chaperone needs aren't known or told until after the 15th of December, won't the ticket cost for all adults be a lot more?
So, the the if you want to chaperone, right, I think it is open in there. And just um, we because I was trying to. There's no way. Yeah, you're right. There's no way to like go back because the price will go up. But there are chaperone spots listed in there. We're if we overfill on chaperone spots, then we would go with seniority first, like senior parents. And then after that, we would go based on kind of like when people signed up. So if you'd like to chaperone, um, go ahead and sign up. If we go over the slots that are listed, and then we get more students to sign up, then he'll increase the number of chaperone spots in there. And then if for some reason like we don't get as many as we anticipate, I think that a lot of people will go, but then we would reach out and he would refund the money if we couldn't, or be like, hey, you could go, but like it's not the chaperone price, something like that.
All right. I think I'm got all of the questions. So now's a great time to go on to whatever else you want to talk about. Um, actually, I'm sorry, we got one more question here. If is there an ability for us to fund our own flight and meet at the park?
Um, so I don't think so, but I'll ask about that. Um, that would be the companion trip. Um, and I will call the travel agent tomorrow and then email out about that if we are going to do a companion trip. Um, see, we're not performing in a parade, so I didn't know if there would be that, you know, that kind, and it was not butted up to winter break like last time. Like a lot of people extended their stay last time. But because this is in the middle of January, and then the Thursday when we come back is all district band. So, most the students wouldn't need to travel with us, if that makes sense. I'm assuming the question was for like a parent or somebody that like
Mhm.
not for the student.
That's what I would assume as well.
Okay, cool.
And we'll keep track of all of these questions and make sure that we follow back through on them again.
Okay.
And then there's one last question. Are interested chaperones supposed to sign up and pay now via the travel agent link, or will an alternate sign up be sent soon?
Yeah, so he went ahead and put the chaperone signups in that in there. So you can, if you're interested in chaperoning, you can go ahead and sign up. And then again, if we were to get over the number of chaperones that we can take, then we'd reach out and refund people their deposit, or if more students sign up than we have currently slotted, then we could add more spots too.
That's all the questions we have. Oh, we just got one more. Can a student travel to Orlando with family separately from band and have a parent drop him off at the designated hotel, then travel back on the return with the group?
Yeah, so that is possible. I just don't know that you would get any um any reduction in cost. Cool.
Okay. What else regarding the trip do you have for us, Mr. Phillip, tonight? Anything else that you wanted to talk about?
I think that's the big gist of it. We'll have an in-person trip meeting for those people who actually sign up for it as we get closer to go over like trip rules, collect paperwork, um, in terms of the overnight field trip forms and things like that, meet the chaperones. Our goal is to have one chaperone for every 10 students. Um, so or thereabouts. We try to get 2 rooms of kids with each chaperone, so that actually averages out about 8. And then the directors are there also so that we can kind of handle anything we need to. We will take an administrator on the trip, so that's nice because all school rules apply. Um, I've done I've done Disney about 4 or 5 times, and Universal, this will be the third time for Universal Studios. So it's a great trip, really, really fun. But just to make sure everyone knows that like all the school rules apply while we're there. And yeah, it's gonna be a really, really good trip.
That's great. So I think a good transition for us here, because I know that Jeree, our Lightridge Band Booster president, wants to talk a little bit about volunteering and chaperoning, is probably anyone who is, and don't jump off the call just yet, because wait till I finish my whole sentence. Anyone who is only here to listen about the trip to Disney and is not interested in chaperoning, you can choose to stay or not. But I think the next best thing, Jeree, if you wanted to talk a little bit about chaperoning and what the duties of chaperoning are on a trip like Disney, that's a good segue. And then after that, we can talk about marching band stuff for anybody here who's marching band parents that want to stay on. Does that sound okay?
That sounds great. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Okay, yay. I just want to second what Mr. Phillips said. This is a huge growth opportunity for the students. Some of them, it might be their first time to fly without families. Some of them, it might be their first time to stay overnight in a hotel without family. It teaches them a lot about responsibility. They get to perform in venues that they would not really get that opportunity. So it's a really great opportunity for them. It teaches them to work together, get places together, time management. So a lot of really valuable skills. Thank you guys so much for sticking around. Thank you for those who have already volunteered. I am so grateful for all the help that we get. Band parents are amazing. We have a lot of opportunities this marching season. We have 4 competitions, 3 of which are kind of sponsored by larger organizations, so are a little bit bigger venues, really exciting opportunities. We also have 4 more home football games. We also have an away performance, and then we have an 8th grade night. So who should volunteer? It's anyone, everyone, but there are some things that you should know. Like Mr. Phillip was saying, especially for these trips that are extended trips, like Universal, where we're there for multiple nights, or some of the bigger competitions, it can be stressful for the students, and it can be physically demanding for the students and for the chaperones. So chaperones may need to walk a lot. You may need to help with getting large instruments or equipments on and off the field. So if you have a medical condition that would limit your ability to do that, but you really want to get involved in band, maybe the best place for you might be to help at the football games, because that's a little bit easier work than being sleep deprived and pushing heavy equipment and carrying things. So consider those, because we definitely want you, and we definitely want you involved. Your kids love it when you're there. I love it when you're there. So let's find a good fit for you so that we don't put you at risk. We may have some really long days, and we need to be ready for all conditions, because sometimes it rains and we just keep going. Unless we're going to get electrocuted, then we don't keep going, but that's another thing. So LCPS requires a 10-to-1 ratio. So it looks like we need a lot of chaperones, because we do. We have 207 band members. So if you do the math, that means we need roughly 21 chaperones. We like to give Mr. Phillip, Mr. Carr, Mrs. O'Brien, or Mrs. Holkinson, Miss O'Brien, some room to breathe. And so we try not to count them as chaperones so that they can handle the big issues. What chaperones do need to do is be on time. Sometimes you can't be, and we understand that, and tons of grace. This is a volunteer position. We're all volunteers. So we're not going to be watching the clock and saying, why were you late? But it really does help us if you're on time. There are lots of pre-departure things that you can help with. Bus assignments in terms of chaperones on which buses, water and snacks on buses, medical forms, permission slips on buses, help with uniforms, getting bags, first aid bags, etc. So there's lots of stuff that needs to be done before we take off. And if you're there on time, that really helps a lot of us. We get to ride on the bus with students, which isn't as miserable as it sounds. I like it just because I love the kids and they're great kids to hang out with. We're there to help our students perform their very, very best. So we need to be really patient with them and help them. But also Mr. Carr, Mr. Phillip, Allison O'Brien, they all do a really great job of fostering independence in our kids. So we try to let the kids handle as much as they can. And then we're just there as kind of a safety net for them to help them out. We have to follow band director instruction. And some of these competitions have some rules. BOA, for the last 2 years, we've broken the rules and lost some points. So it's a great thing if we know the rules. So be on the lookout for rules. I will try to communicate them to you, but you can also go on the website and read about them yourselves. And that way you can help everybody else by being well informed. Some examples of things that you might need to know are clear bags might be required. So I would say go ahead and invest in one now. We may need to do work ahead of time because concessions may be cash only, they may be cashless. Photos may not be allowed in certain areas. That was one of the penalties that we paid. And then you have to have the appropriate pass on the field if you're going to be on the field helping move equipment on, and that's another penalty that we paid. So our students are learning independence, but chaperones might be asked to help with minor medical issues. So if anybody out there has medical expertise, it's always helpful to know. We're not going to ask you to doctor or nurse, but there may be bloody noses or twisted ankles, things that we can handle, upset tummies, that sort of thing, that you can really be an asset for us. And we would be super grateful. There may be uniform issues. There may be instrument issues. Most of us parents are not able to fix instruments, but we can help keep the students calm and help them get the help that they need. Usually Mrs. Phillip is there and she can help too. So it's great to be able to find someone who can help them and keep the kids calm. Serious issues, we don't deal with serious issues. Mr. Phillip gets to deal with serious issues. Yay, disciplinary problems go to Mr. Phillip. Serious illnesses go to Mr. Phillip. Like an allergic reaction, we have to call 911 after an EpiPen injections, things like that. So he needs to know. So he handles those. Again, competitions can be high stress for the students. They can be high stress for the chaperones. They can be very unpredictable. Our performance times can change without much notice, either based on weather or other bands' presence or absence. So we all have to be really flexible, really patient with the kids, with the directors, and with all the other chaperones. You just have to be available and you have to be patient. and work well with others. And that's really it. We'll help you through all the rest. It's fun, it's crazy, it's chaotic, it's the best time you're going to have. It's really a great high school experience. Overnight chaperone duties, 8-to-1 ratio. Know your rooms. Know which students are assigned to you. One of the things that I do is I create a list. I title it in my phone of contacts. I create a spring 2024 trip or a January 2025 trip. And then I put all my students' names in there under that trip, under the contact. So all I have to do is pull up that list. And it's a huge help. And then you can check in very easily with your students and get their phone numbers and stick them in. We have had people not know that they've had more than one room of students and leave after they got assigned one room. So just make sure that you know how many students you're assigned. You're responsible for room checks at times when Mr. Phillips says they have to all be in their rooms at this time and they can't come out. That means they can't come out. They can't go to the pool, which they've done before. You go and make sure everybody wakes up. You do periodic check-ins with them during park and activity days. You have to be available after hours. Like there have been calls at 1:15 in the morning for needs. So you need to be available. You can't put your phone on do not disturb and get an all night, a good night's sleep. One important thing is you may not be assigned your own child. Sometimes we have multiple students in one room that have chaperones. Their parents are chaperoning. And in that case, we have to assign that room to only one chaperone. And so then we may assign you to another room. It doesn't mean that you're not going to get to spend time with your kid or your child. It just means we trust you enough to interact with other students, and you can help us a great deal by checking in on 4 other students, and another chaperone will be taking care of your child. And I promise that your child will grow from that experience of just interacting with another adult that isn't their parent. It's good for them, and you'll still get to spend time with them. It just means we trust you. Pit crew, if you volunteer for pit crew, you're loading and unloading the trailer and trucks. And parents, even if you're not part of pit crew and you happen to be in the parking lot when the trucks pull up from a competition and you're sitting in your car, if you're able to get out and help them unload those trailers, it's super helpful. It makes it go much faster for them, and they have much longer days and a little bit rougher travel than the rest of us. So it would be much appreciated if when you're sitting in the parking lot and you see them unloading, that if you're able to hop out and go help. You'll move props. If you're on pit crew, flags, sound equipment, follow Steve Carroll's instruction. He's our lead, and he's super experienced, super organized, and just generally a great leader. So if you follow his instruction, you'll be golden. You're not usually considered a typical chaperone, but there may be situations where we ask for your help. Truck drivers. Again, this is under Steve Carroll's direction and selection. Just so that everybody's aware, though, our truck drivers have an earlier arrival time than everybody else because they have to go pick up trucks. They have a later departure time or a later return time home because they have to gas up trucks. So these guys work really hard, and we appreciate them super much. And if it's something that you're interested in, Steve Carroll is the person to contact. Truck riders. They assist with pit, and the people that are going to be chosen to ride in the trucks, your primary job is to ensure the safety of the driver by staying awake and alert and assisting the driver with communication with other trucks, with navigation, with paperwork. There might be parking passes, that you have to show whenever you get onto property, onto the universities. We're going to let the drivers this year have a say in who rides with them, just so that they can make for a good team within their truck with good communication and clear navigation, so that they can really have somebody to rely on for that. Sorry, there's so much. Chaperone duties for football games. Stay with the band unless you're helping with equipment. Help with water, and more water. Our kids sometimes forget to drink a lot. They get really excited. That's the most common issue that I've dealt with. Marching band is just having kids who forgot to eat, didn't eat well, didn't drink, and so it affects them. So just football games and on competitions, water. If kids are released to concessions, your job will just be to go to concessions, a few chaperones, and encourage the kids to return back to the band area instead of hanging out and not returning. You might help Pitt get equipment and instruments on and off the field, and stay until the band's released. It feels like it's over after halftime, but it is not over after halftime. So those of us who stay all night, I see a cute baby. Those of us who stay for the entire night are really, really grateful for the others who stay and help get everything put away. Other general info, it was mentioned before, I'll say it again, just because it's LCPS policy that there's no smoking or alcohol use on by any participant when we're on a trip. So no alcohol. And volunteers, be patient, give us constructive feedback, helpful. You can make mistakes. I've made a lot of mistakes, and they still let me come back. The kids are fantastic. They're super fun. They're super smart. They're a pleasure to work with. It's fun. It's rewarding. Band kids are amazing. Band parents are amazing. Come hang out with me. The end.
Awesome. So generally, we send out a sign up genius as soon as we know the times of the show and when we have more information, and we send that out so everybody has the chance to sign up for those slots, and we just send that out in our normal weekly newsletter unless we get the information kind of in the middle of the week. Are there any questions about chaperoning? Awesome. I think that was a really thorough and like we said, we all just are there to support the kids and make sure they have the best opportunities and the best experience that they possibly can.
I don't think there's anything else. Jury, one thing that I don't know that we did is I don't know that we introduced all of the band boosters officers. So if you could quickly run through that list, I think that would just be helpful for people.
Okay, well, let's make sure that I do it right, because I introduced Kathy as president on Friday night. So apparently that's a Freudian slip, and I don't really want to be president. I want Kathy to be president. So I'm president, and I have exactly 0 qualifications. But I come and I work really hard and I have fun. So, and I guess I could show you me, but why? Hi. All right. Karen is our secretary. She's amazing. She keeps me organized and keeps me in line. Kathy is our treasurer and our Freudian president. And she does an amazing job with keeping our budget in line, etc. Steve is vice president of all logistical things. And he's got like so much experience. And if you want to know anything, Steve is your man. He's just great. And then Lindsay is our president-elect, president in waiting. And she's super experienced at presidenting. She has way more qualifications than me. So you guys are super lucky that you get her next year.
And I also think we cannot forget
Andrea.
Andrea, Mr. Carroll's other half.
Okay, so Andrea is our
Actually, the better half.
guru. And Andrea, like without Andrea and Steve, we would just have naked students running around going nowhere. So they're amazing. And we're super fortunate to have all the people on the board that we have. They're hard workers and very reliable people. They're great.
I think that's a wrap. I don't think we have any other questions. I don't think we left any stones unturned.
I see another question.
Oh,
It just popped up.
hi, Lindsay.
Hi.
I'm sorry. Oh, is there an LCPS form we need to fill out to be a volunteer or be a chaperone?
No.
No, I mean, if you want to know what LCPS's policy 5070 says, it says you can't be a sex offender. So that's about nobody else is laughing. That's just what it says. It doesn't say anything else. So no. But yeah. I mean, you probably need to be in good standing.
All right. I'll stay on in case people have more questions. And if not, thank you all so much for joining us. And thank you so much.
Thanks, Mr. Phillip, for all that you do as well.
Oh, thank you.